welcome back to the Shutter Sports Refresh. I'm your host Lucky Roberts, bringing you all the biggest news in sports from the past week, so you can save some time on your research. Let's get right into it. The biggest piece of news this week's come from the hockey world. Yesterday, Alexander Ovechkin of the Washington Capitals scored his 895th goal in his career. With that goal, he set the all-time record for most goals in an NHL career, and the man he had to beat to get to first place was none other than the legendary Wayne Gretzky. Nobody thought he was going to break this record. What an accomplishment for Ovechkin. Ovechkin is getting up there in age at age 39, so at the start of the season there were tons of fans debating if he had enough left in the tank to break the record before this season ended or he retired. Well, he proved all those fans wrong, turning on the Jets this season and easily broke the record with 5 games left to go in the season. Even though Ovechkin has played 18 less games than last season, he's scored 11 more goals, so it seems he's not slowing down at all. Something inside of him must have clicked, and he's turned back up the clock to make one final push for the all-time goal scoring record. Congratulations to him on this crazy feat. Ovechkin's Capitals lead the Metropolitan Division by a massive 11 points, and will likely be out the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference come playoff time. Could we see Ovechkin break the all-time goals record and win a championship in the same year? I guess we'll have to find out. Next up in our sports news, it's March Madness time once again. Last week we covered up all until the Final Four, which has been going down this weekend. Here a breakdown of the games. The first men's game was between Auburn and Florida in an SEC matchup. Auburn was the overall number 1 seed in the tournament, but Florida took the win, led by Walter Clayton's 34 points. He's been legendary in this tournament. Clayton has been playing like a superstar, averaging 24 points per game. Florida is now in the finals for the first time since 2007. The other men's team was between Duke and Houston, and this one was a crazy comeback. Duke had control of this one early, thanks to stellar play from future number 1 NBA draft pick Cooper Flagg. Duke had a lead late in the second half, but Houston is known for their defense and their hustle, and kept fighting through it. After a crazy 25-8 run in the last minutes of the game, Juwan Roberts knocked down 2 free throws to give Houston the win in one of the most memorable March Madness games in recent history. That means the March Madness men's finals between Houston and Florida, and it goes down tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern, so tune in or come back to the refresh next week to see what happened. Although the men's bracket hasn't finished up quite yet, the women's bracket had their final game yesterday, and here's the breakdown of their Final Four. The first game was between Texas and South Carolina. This one stayed close for the first half, but South Carolina took control in the third quarter, outscoring Texas 20-9. South Carolina took the easy win after that, led by some well-rounded scoring and their strong coaching from Dawn Staley. South Carolina has been to 5 straight Final Fours, and this year was no exception as they advance now to the finals. The second Final Four game was between UConn and USC. USC was out without their top scorer Juju Watkins, and it clearly hurt them in this game. UConn took the blowout win thanks to 31 points by superstar Paige Bueckers. Bueckers has been set to the number 1 pick in the WNBA draft this season and has been a standout player for UConn since she was a freshman. Another standout freshman is Sarah Strong, who dominated with 24 points, 15 rebounds, and 5 assists. It's looking like Strong has an impressive collegiate career ahead of her. UConn's head coach, Aramema, won his 12th national championship in this game, adding on to what has already been one of the best resumes in collegiate coaching history in basketball. He and Bueckers have a special relationship, and it was a bittersweet moment as Bueckers passed her last game for the team as they won the championship. Congratulations to Aramena, Bueckers, and UConn for this national championship win. But you know what's bigger than a national championship? A European championship. What the teams in the Champions League are fighting for as the quarterfinals kick off tomorrow and run through next week. As per usual, each of the 8 matchups plays 2 games, and whoever has the higher combined score throughout those 2 games will take the win. Here are the matchups. The best team in Germany, Bayern Munich, takes on the best team in Italy, Inter Milan. The popular English team, Arsenal, is playing Real Madrid from Spain, and the best team in Spain, though, is Barcelona, and they're taking on another German team in Dortmund. And finally, the dominant French team, PSG, will face off against the English Aston Villa, who's been very surprising this year. Make sure to tune in next week for the refresh for all the updates on how these games went. We've got another UFC event coming down Saturday, UFC 314. The main event in this one is a featherweight matchup between Alexander Volkanovski and Diego Lopez. Volkanovski has been on a cold streak for the past few years, but he looks to build some momentum in this one to take back the championship. Another exciting match in this event is a lightweight matchup between Michael Chandler and Paddy Pimblett. Check out the refresh next week to see what happens. And for our last piece of news today, the F1 Japanese Grand Prix went down yesterday in Suzuka. This was the 3rd race of the F1 season, and it was won by Red Bull's Max Verstappen. Verstappen won the driver standings last week and takes home the first win of his season here, which bumps him into 2nd place in the driver standings so far. The man in first in the driver standings actually is Lando Norris, who finished second in this race. Norris drives for McLaren, and so does the third place finisher Oscar Piastri, who both have been really impressive, with 2 podium finishes for both of them. McLaren is now number 1 in the construction standings by a large margin. The next Grand Prix is the Bahrainian Grand Prix, which goes down Sunday morning, so make sure to check out the refresh to see how that went. And that's all for this week's episode of the Shutter Sports Refresh. I've been your host, Lucky Roberts, and I hope you learned something today. You can check me, Shutter Sports Media, and the writer for this episode, Finn Noel, out on Instagram right here. Thanks for watching.